Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome, everyone, to episode 6 of the No Drama Video Game Club stream. I'm Tyler, and I have with me today Austin.
Hello.
And a third timer, practically a regular at this point, Mox.
Hello.
Before we get started, I wanted to go over what the options were for this episode. I know that we haven't done this in the past, but I thought it would be interesting. So the 3 nominees were, and these were nominated by Austin, were Beyond Good and Evil, VA11 Hall A, or Valhalla, and Axiom Verge. And of course, Axiom Verge was the winner. But I was just curious if you guys have played these other games. Let's start with Beyond Good and Evil. Austin, have you ever played Beyond Good and Evil?
I have played a chunk of it. I always meant to go back and finish it. Ask me about any game, and I've probably played the first chunk of it and wanted to go back and finish, but never did.
Sure.
So with 2 supposedly coming out eventually, that's what kind of made me say, this would be good to go back and finish for Game Club.
I shamefully hadn't heard of any of these and realized that I had seen a speed run of Axiom Verge during one of the GDQs after I started playing it. But when we posted the 3 choices, I had no idea of any of them.
Yeah, I know of them, but I've never played any of them. And I'm glad Axiom Verge got selected because it was a good opportunity to play like a Metroidvania. Have you guys been playing anything else past 2 weeks besides Axiom Verge? Mox?
I have been playing so much Stellaris. All of the DLC were on sale on every game site this past week for some reason, a Paradox sale. Mm-hmm. And oh my gosh, I think I've played probably 30 hours of Stellaris in the past few days. It's very good. Highly recommend it.
Oh, wow. Austin, what have you been playing?
That section of your Steam library where you're like, hey, I don't know where I got this game, and I know I never ever want to play it ever. And if you go to look at the store page, it's gone. It just redirects you to the Steam main page.
Yeah, I'm aware.
About?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing this last week. A lot of what I actually want to play would benefit from a new card, so I'm kind of waiting for that the 30 series cards to launch.
Yeah.
And I've been taking that time to clear out some crap from my backlog.
Have you just been randomly clicking on things I've never heard of this?
I've got a category in Steam for games that of this nature.
That's great. That's awesome. I've been going back to some old games. I've been playing Watch Dogs 1 and the Star Wars Battlefront, the first of the reboot, which has been great. There's been people playing online, which has been really cool. But we're here to talk about Axiom Verge. So Axiom Verge is a side-scrolling Metroidvania action-adventure game. It was released March 31st, 2015, initially on PS4. And here's some other games that came out in 2015. Witcher 3, Fallout 4, Ori and the Blind Forest, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Rocket League, Bloodborne, and many others. I would say this was a pretty darn good year for video games, 2015.
Oh yeah. Rocket League. I didn't realize it came out that long ago.
Yeah. It's been around for a while, and it's about to go free to play, which is going to be great. And Phantom Pain, I was so hyped on Phantom Pain.
That's so crazy. That was 5 years ago.
I watched so many videos on it. It's just this game is it just looks so great, so polished. Had I known that they didn't even finish it, but yeah. Anyway, so it was a great year. There was also a hardware release in 2015. Does anyone want to guess what it was?
Oh, was that the new 3DS?
Yes, it was. Did you guys pick up one?
Oh,
I
yes.
did.
I also did.
I have 2 of them.
I love it so much. The game was developed by Thomas Happ. Hopefully I'm saying that correct. And he's from California, or at least currently residing in California. And he also published it as well. And the engine it used was the Mono Game engine. And we'll kind of touch on that a little bit here in the history of the game coming up here. So Thomas Happ Games. He was an engineer at this company called Petroglyph Games, which was founded by some devs from Westwood Studios.
Ooh.
Which are famous for making the Command & Conquer series. Are you guys big Command and Conquer fans?
No.
No.
Sorry.
No worries. They're based in Vegas, and Petroglyph has came out with games such as Grey Goo, and I'm sure you guys have seen these games like 8-Bit Armies or Hordes, Invaders on Steam. They came out with those, and they helped with the Command and Conquer Remastered Collection as well. But yeah, we aren't here to go too in-depth about them. We're here to talk about Thomas Happ games. So Thomas Happ, he worked on games such as NFL Street, the Tiger Woods series. He also worked on this game called Project Orn, which was a Metroid fan game for GBA. Have any of you guys heard of this game?
I didn't hear about it until I looked up Thomas Happ just to kind of see what he had done in the past. And no, I had not heard of that at all.
Yeah, same. I was really surprised, but it makes sense considering like what Axiom Verge is today. He's the sole dev, artist, composer of Axiom Verge. He showed off an alpha build of the game in 2012 at this event called Dream Build Play. The game was originally expected to be a PC Xbox 360 game. It was supposed to come out in 2013. The game was delayed, of course, and yeah, it was very anticipated in the indie community, this game. Made a lot of like most anticipated game lists out there for the press. Besides that, the game, it came to PS4 and PS Vita later, then PC, Mac, Linux. I mean, this game is on like almost everything. It's crazy. It even came to Wii U as a port. And this port was a bit of a struggle due to the monogame engine. The other thing that was interesting about this port is that Thomas wanted Samus Aran to be an unlockable costume in the game. And sadly, Nintendo was not down for that.
Which was interesting because they kind of reached out to him to help make the game run on Wii U. Like they actively wanted to get the game going on there.
Yeah. At one point, a 3DS version was considered, but that never happened. And of course, when the Switch was announced, Thomas Happ was extremely excited. He like tweeted about it, and I believe he was like trying to get a dev kit for the Switch. And Austin, you will know a lot about this. Mox, maybe you also like bought this box. I'm not sure, but in October 2015, Axiom Verge team Thomas Happ, he teamed up with IndieBox. That's come up with like this crazy edition, and it ended up crashing the website whenever it was announced.
Yeah.
Can you like? Did you buy this edition, Austin?
Yeah. So at the time, I was an IndieBox subscriber, which meant instead of having to buy the games, so the way that it worked was if you were a subscriber, which I was subscribed from like their second box, so I think I was getting them for $15 a month or something like that, and then the price kind of kept going up, but you were locked in. So like I got this box for $15, and I think they sold it on their website for maybe it might have been $40. But I didn't have to deal with the website or anything like that, so I didn't realize that the website had crashed when they sold this. But it was a really cool box. Like it was the coolest box they had done up until that point. I'll try to include some pictures of what's inside for the YouTube video.
Awesome.
But it was they would do their games on like a physical quote unquote cartridge. It would be basically a USB credit card looking thing. It included a statue of one of the cyborg heads that you run into a lot in here. A CD soundtrack. There was a bunch of stuff in there. It was really cool. That was one of the cooler ones that I got from IndieBox.
Awesome. Yeah, it looked really cool. There seemed to be like a ton of stuff in there.
Yeah.
Mox, were you ever a subscriber to IndieBox or anything? Or
no, but it sounds like it was fun. I missed out.
Yeah, seriously, that's exactly how I feel. Definitely missed out. Yeah, the game was received quite well, 7s, 8s, and 9s. I think it got like a perfect score from some news outlets as well. And yeah, there's going to be a sequel. It's going to be Axiom Verge 2, which I believe is going to be a Switch timed exclusive.
Ooh.
Which will be great.
I'm excited.
Anything else you guys that I may have missed about the Thomas Happ or a little history on Axiom Verge?
Wasn't there something about the Wii U version being like the definitive version or something like that?
Not to my knowledge.
Oh, I forgot.
Probably. Oh, okay, all good. Austin?
So just kind of to give some context on this, like
Please.
right now, Metroid is kind of in full swing. We got the remake of 2 on the 3DS as a good side-scrolling Metroid, and Metroid Prime 4 is in development. When this game came out, Metroid, there was nothing going on with Metroid at all. And people were really hungry for some new Metroid stuff. And so this game came out, and there was an encounter after an E3 event between the developer and Reggie Fils-Aimé from Nintendo, where he goes, "Hey, this game looks a lot like Metroid," and Thomas Happ famously said, "Well, somebody had to make it."
Oh man,
Nintendo just wasn't doing anything with the Metroid license at the time. So
true.
Now it's not as significant, but this was scratching a huge itch for a lot of people at that time, adding to kind of the significance of this in the year 2015.
Yeah. Also, like there weren't many like 2D Metroids, right? I mean, there were, the Prime series was there.
Yeah,
in the past.
Fusion had been the last one, which was on the GBA.
Yeah. This was a great, opportunity. I mean, it makes sense, right? If you're like a fan of this type of game and you have the ability to make one, and there's not, Nintendo isn't filling that void for you, like you might as well fill it for yourself, and maybe others will also want that void filled as well. Cool. Okay, so that was just like a little overview of the history and the game in general. Let's talk about the story a bit. So I will definitely need your guys' assistance. So you play as a character. Ooh, before going into the story, I'm going to turn on the spoiler tag just to make sure no one gets spoiled. I would say the story wasn't a huge, like, if I would have known the whole story, I wouldn't have felt spoiled, but I'm sure there's some people that may feel differently. I feel like this game is more focused. It's more like the gameplay itself and the bosses and the items that you find, etc.
There are some story beats that I'm going to get into that I would consider spoilery.
Okay.
Yeah, overall, the story, it's not a crazy story. It's not the reason you really play the game, but there were definitely some cool moments that I...
Mox, was the story your favorite part of the game?
I really enjoyed this story. I thought it was well thought out.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was fine. It's just, it wasn't the main... I didn't feel like it was going to be the main draw for a lot of people.
Definitely wasn't the main draw for me, but...
I don't think the story is ever the main draw for a 2D game.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, well, it's a good point. Well, I don't know, man. Super Monkey Island, etc. Like all those adventure pointing.
All right. A 2D game in the 20-somethings. 22.
Yeah, so you play as a character named Trace. He's a scientist running a lab in New Mexico. An explosion knocks him out. He wakes up in this like alien world. Do you guys remember what the world's called?
Is it Sudra?
Sudra, yeah.
Yeah, Sudra, yeah. And you're led by this voice to a gun. You find out the source of the voice, and it belongs to this crazy android cyborg type large thing.
Big head.
I think it's just a large robot.
Is it a robot?
I don't think it has any sort of organic material that made it up.
Okay.
They're called the Rusalki, I believe. Yeah. And
her name is Elsinova. And you learn that she needs some help, that she's dying. And she talks about this man named Athedos. And this is the main bad guy of the game. After that, do you guys want to take over from here?
You journey through Sudra and collect pieces of, different types of weapons that are, compatible with this weird weapon that you have. And you pick up little notes that tell you a little bit about the story as you go. You help repair the Rusalki, of which I think there are 4 that are your friends. To get to, I call him Athetos because that's, I don't know, it seems like the way you would say it. Whatever.
Okay. Athetos, yeah.
And then so you make your way to him, trying to, I think he's at like the very peak of the worlds, to get there to fight him on the behalf of the Rusalki. But, the whole time you're like, no, I'm not going to kill him. I just want to talk to him. And the Rusalki like, yeah, of course. And And then, meanwhile, you're using these little rebirth chambers if you die or to save. You just kind of store your self and all the items you have at that exact moment. And if you die, you spawn from that point. Although the game mechanics, they let you save what you've done between the save point and when you died. So it's not like you're starting time over. It's just you're respawning, like literally.
Yeah. You even have kind of a story moment the first time that you die. When you respawn there, your character Trace kind of freaks out and is like, "What happened to me?" And he's confused how he got there. It's acknowledged within the game. Like, it's weird that you came back to life, like you remember dying. So they kind of acknowledged like that you are supposed to have all the stuff that you had when you died.
And I can't remember what prompts him to say it, but at one point, Trace is like, "I am Athetos, aren't I?" And then Elsinova's like, "Yeah," which I thought was kind of lame because it's made it seem like this. This big reveal was kind of trivial. That was my one complaint.
If it happened, I can't remember exactly when it happened, but I thought it happened at around a moment that I thought was really cool. So at some point you find out that Athetos has unleashed a pathogen on the whole place and is trying to commit genocide against everything in Sudra. And we'll get into the reasons why in a little bit. But at some point you're getting kind of far in and you start to hallucinate. And it turns out that you've contracted that same pathogen.
Oh, right.
And this is such a cool section of the game.
Is that when everything gets hot?
Yes. Yeah, everything gets it gets wavy, and like you're seeing enemies that you've never seen before. There's arms like coming out of the wall. And it culminates in this really wild boss battle where you walk into the boss room and then realize that you're controlling the boss.
Yeah.
And like your player character's killing you.
Yeah, that was really cool.
It's really wild. And so you, at that point, I think you have this revelation where you suddenly remember your life as Athetos. And like it plays out this cutscene where when before this accident, when you went blind and could no longer move, you while you were blinded and unable to move, you came up with this wild physics that basically the whole scientific community shunned you for, giving you the name Athetos, which means without place. And but Athetos decided to go back to this world of Sudra because it's a gateway to many other worlds. And the Rusalki didn't really want you to use that. They were afraid of what was outside. And so he decided, well, hey, if they're not going to let me through, who are they to stop me? I'll just kill them all.
Yeah.
Well, so the Sudran people were like in charge of the breach, which is the passage between worlds. And then they, like, over, millennia, their descendants became more and more, I don't know, paranoid, religious. Religion ruins everything was definitely a message in this game.
Yeah.
And so that's why he creates the pathogen. He, being Athetos, creates the pathogen to destroy the Sudrans. But then the Rusalki, I think, were either like recruited or made by the Sudrans to stop the people from using the breach. So they're naturally just following their programming.
Right. And so pretty much right after that, at that point, I was very confused. I was like, so I'm Athetos, but why am I remembering this? And like, how did all this come out to play? And then they kind of have a big reveal where there are Athetos clones, and those healing pods, or the saving pods that you're using, are clone chambers. Mm-hmm. So the way I took that is every time you die, a new clone of you is created. But basically, to kind of fight off Athetos, the Rusalki created a clone of him from when he was younger, the first time he came to visit this world. And that's you. So you are a younger clone of him. And it's the reveal that there are clones is brutal, because you go into a boss chamber and there's no boss. It's just this dying clone sitting in one of those save chambers, and you can choose to kill it or just watch it die. And either way, it's just like, oh my god. They have this big reveal, and Trace freaks out and starts yelling at the Rusalki, at Elsnova, and it's like, I don't want to do what you're wanting me to do. And so she kills him. She just kills your character remotely. Like, this is actually a death that you, as far as I know, you can't avoid.
Yeah.
And the achievement for going quote unquote deathless is like, oh, die only once during the game. So it's like the required death. But oh man, that was the peak of the story for me. The hallucination followed by the clones.
Yeah, that was really, really cool. Really, that's whenever I was like, oh, there's actually something here.
Yeah. And
really
on top of that, like when you were hallucinating and going through the area, when you go through that area again after you're done hallucinating, you start overwriting the map with what's actually there. So like it'll show you the map what you had seen, and then when you go through again, it's like, oh, actually this room is a different layout than what you had recorded on your map. I thought that was a cool little touch.
I died so many times during that section. It was so hard.
It was rough. It was a tough section.
Yeah. I died a lot against bosses in this game. Okay, so then, so after that happens, you eventually, you fight some bosses and stuff, and then you get to where you end up destroying Athetos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they basically tell you say, I'm not going to kill him. Let me go talk to him and reason with him. And the Rusalki say, okay, sure, we'll do it your way. I'm not going to kill you again. And that turns out to be a flat out lie. Because you go up the space elevator, you go and fight him. Elsnova gets her body back and says, okay, I'll come help you. You have to stop his breach attractor for me to be able to come in and help, because I can't deal with the breach. So at the end of the boss battle, she goes, all right, well, I have to kill him. Sorry. And she just blasts his ass away.
Then he dies, and then you wake up on Earth, and you find that like the time has been altered like a bit, but you still like remember everything that happens, and Trace becomes like obsessed with like returning to this to Sutra.
Yeah. And if you managed to get a certain level of completion of the game, I think it's 80% of items and 80% of the map completed, or if you manage to beat it in under 4 hours, you unlock a little extra piece of the ending, which Mox got to see.
What was that extra
It was
piece?
just I didn't. It wasn't significant, so I didn't even remember it. I think there's like Trace waking up on Sudra, and then another scene of Trace like working at his desk in his lab coat on Earth apparently. And he's like, I need to get back to Sudra. And then Athetos, before he like gets all gross and when he's on Sudra, like when he's just a regular old scientist, comes in, he's like, I don't know, you need to wake up or something, and then shoots him. That didn't make any sense to me until I read the wiki.
Like, that's it. Huh, all right. Anything else we want to say about the story before switch the spoilers off?
I really liked the premise that Trace was a clone from this like vat for, cloning, because it reminded me of Soma, which I think had an excellent premise that like it explored ethically throughout the game, which this game did not. But I was reminded of that same like premise of like, who's really Trace? Is it the one sitting in the cells in the we're cloning that, or is it the one who's running around with the gun, or is it the one who's waiting for at the end of the game who's the big boss?
Right.
And in the same way, it's like what's that movie? The Prestige. Same thing. I liked that. I like that kind of ethical premise.
The only other thing that I kind of wanted to touch on, because it was something that I almost forgot about. I'm glad I took some notes. There was a skippable boss towards the end. Do you recall that?
Yeah. He tells you can skip it.
Yeah, he goes,
it.
Looks like there's a door over there I could just walk through.
Yeah.
And skip this guy. And I was like, well, I mean, there's gotta be some bonus if I kill the boss though, right? So I went and did it. I fought it. It was a tough boss. And nothing happened, but I killed it. So it was like, why was this boss here? I was very confused. I didn't. So you guys both skipped it?
Oh, yeah.
I did.
Yeah, so I
boss is the hardest part.
Yeah. I struggled a lot with bosses, and I think that's because I didn't have that many items. And some of them, I struggled really hard with the last one.
Okay. Well, I guess this will be a good point to get out of spoilers. I think I'm done with mine. If y'all have any more, because this would be probably a good point to get into how we all approach the game and what our stats were.
Yeah, let's do it.
No more spoilers.
Okay.
All right. So, first, who wants to go first? Mox, do you want to go?
Okay. I am pretty sure that you had told me that this game was like the developer said that the Wii U is supposed to be the end all be all version. Like it will have all of the features. So that's why I dug out my dusty old, Legend of Zelda Wii U and got this game. And I liked it. I really liked it on the Wii U. I didn't expect to like it because I feel bad saying this, but I do not like Metroidvanias. Yeah. But I liked it. I liked the controls on the Wii U because the touchpad let me select any weapon, of which you get way too many.
You get a lot.
And like each weapon has its own. Yes, if you find them. Each weapon has its own like use, in different situations. Yeah. And so, and they're in an order on your map based on how you acquire them. So it's like different depending on what order which you acquire them. But after a while, I could just like tap my thumb on the touchpad and I would go instantly to that weapon. Versus like what the video is showing, where you have to use this little radial selection thing, which is slow. And it pauses the game, whereas the touching doesn't pause the game. Yeah. So I really enjoyed it.
Was the map on the Wii U gamepad as well?
Yes, and you could like scroll around. Nice. Yeah.
Oh, that must have been really great.
You could scroll around to all the different like areas and like open up all of the maps. I mean, I couldn't look at the menu unless I paused the game, but it was really nice. I could just like stop in an area and like pop open my map and see, hey, does this connect to this area? Yep. Okay, I'm gonna go that way. It was very nice.
That's great. How long? Like, what was the time that you took to finish it?
I spent 16 hours and 55 minutes playing this game. But I was just constantly looking at the map because it gives you, if you can see on the screen, a little white line on the side of the. I mean, I've never played a Metroidvania game, so I assume this is like a common thing. But so I know there's a door there, so I have to go and find that door. Or if it doesn't have like a pink line on the top, I know that means that there's like something up there. So I just went to every single area and looked at every single secret and like poked my little drill into every corner and like used the little scrambler in every single corner of the game and like dashed into, every single little pocket of the area to find everything. And I still didn't find everything.
Yeah. You did have like what was your completion rate on the items and map?
So it tells you at the end in a nice little screen, and my final items percentage was 82% and my map was 98%. And I know the exact boxes that I didn't get, and they were at the top of these like boss rooms that they're really hard to get to. I feel like unless you use this like speed run, quote unquote glitch to get to it. And I was like, I'm not going to go all the way back there just for those squares. Sure. And I should have, because it would have been 100.
Oh. And what was your death count?
Oh, I died 32 times, which I thought was, I'm pretty proud because there was this one like item that I didn't realize you could use this one weapon for. And I kept like brute forcing it with this one weapon. And I died in that room, probably like 20 of those deaths. And then I was like, wait, why don't I try this? And then it took no deaths. So.
I see. And so overall, you would say like, this was the first. So have you ever started any other Metroidvanias? Like even just dabbled a bit? I
mean, I've probably played, I did not dab, I dabbled into like some like, there's like a Metroid game that came with the fat DS when you first get it.
Yeah.
Metroid, the demo for
Yes.
Metroid First Hunt or something like that. It was called. It was.
Yeah, I hated that. So I was like, nope, no Metroid games for me. So that's it.
I remember that was a big deal because that was I believe it had multiplayer.
The demo?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it might have. It's been a long time since I broke that out.
Yeah. I remember my cousin had that demo and he lost it in the laundry and he was freaking out and he was looking, we looked for it for hours, I think.
I still have my copy. Does your cousin want it?
Dang, that's nuts. That's probably worth something.
What? This tiny demo cartridge?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's some history right there.
Wow. It belongs in a museum.
Yeah, seriously. So besides that, though, there wasn't any other Metroidvania game that you played or dabbled in or anything?
No, I watched a lot of speed runs, but that's it. They're not I don't know, they're high technical skills required. I mean, you can see on the screen, you have to it's like a bullet hell. I hate bullet hells. It was never something I was excited about. And then I really got into this game. I really liked it. The story was good. It was very satisfying when you shot a boss and its entire body turns red on the screen.
Yes.
There was just, I don't know, it was very satisfying when you won.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So what would you say your favorite parts of this game were?
Ooh, that's hard because I really enjoyed all of it. I really there were a lot of puzzles making use of this, I don't remember what it was called. Address disruptor.
Yeah.
Where there were glitchy parts of the screen. I think we've seen them in the video. And if you scan them with this tool that you get, which I don't think you have to get to complete the game, sometimes you'll get secret little puzzles, or there was one part where if you scan this one enemy, and if you scan enemies, they'll have different behavior than
that
what
was
they
really
should
cool.
do.
Yeah, you can kind of use it to make enemies behave a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
Or meaner.
Yeah, there's a couple that'll go meaner for sure.
But in this one area, if you scan these things that attach to you and drain your health really fast, which I died to probably 10 times, it pauses, it stops on the screen, and it just shows a bunch of different characters that you then had to enter into the password tool to unlock a weapon. It was awesome.
Oh,
I was wondering what that was. I saw a password come up and I entered it in, but I think you have to do more than just one, probably.
No, you just enter the password in and then in the right area, and then it will make a noise. And then you have to go to the area that it unlocks. It'll change a different part of the screen.
Okay.
Oh,
that's really cool.
Dang, I totally should have done that. Okay.
They were great puzzles. I was very impressed.
Any negative points?
Sorry?
Any negative points?
It was hard. I mean, I'm not super good at these kinds of games, again, bullet hells. There's this one boss. I think it was a wasp. I think you said it was a bee, but I think it was a wasp.
Yeah, it probably was a wasp. Yeah.
That I died to about 1,000 times. And I basically cheesed it, because if you use the address disruptor to disrupt whatever, the things that it spawns, and then you shoot at them right when they're near his weak spot, it'll auto kill the boss.
Ooh,
what?
That sounds like a strat.
I had to Google it because I was dying way too many times. I was well, how do I kill this boss? I'm gonna quit this game if I cannot kill this boss.
I just brute forced it. Shoot.
It made it cool that way. I liked it.
Yeah, that's great. Oh man, I feel like I would have enjoyed it more if I knew that, because I was so frustrated at that bee.
That was a really that room is the room that I didn't fill because I was so mad at just that whole area.
That's great. Anything else?
I really like the game. I mean, I know the point of book clubs and the is to do things that you wouldn't normally do, but I never do that because I don't want to do things I don't want to do. But sure. I played this game and I didn't really want to, and I'm really glad I did.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, it's this weird part. The streams, it's a really weird. Do you guys remember this?
Yes, there are secret areas, which after I did some research, it seems like they show the doors to them are randomized. They can show up in several random locations.
What?
I didn't find this one.
I only found this one, I think.
I found one other one.
Oh, I only found one.
And so basically, I think there's 6 or 7 of them total.
Mm-hmm.
And their layout, I left it here because I had played this before, and I remember this is a really hard area, and I wasn't ready for it yet, so I was going to come back to it later. But I did complete the other one that I went to. And basically, there's a few upgrades you can get from them, but then there's like a mega hard one that you can get near the end, where you'll get one of 3 secret weapons, and it's different what you'll get every playthrough. Because you can get only one of those 3. But it's very interesting. It's they mentioned flotsam and jetsam, which it's like pieces of a ship when there's breach.
Yeah,
so I thought that was interesting. But it's like randomly put together rooms from the rest of that area. And you can even get repeat rooms, but if you go in equipped, it's not so bad, but it still can be pretty tough. You have to be careful at those spots.
Well, and it's hard to tell what's like a solid thing you can stand on and what's not. I found myself shooting the main, like the red gun, like just on everything to see if this is solid and something I could stand on.
Okay.
Yeah, that's smart. It's a smart tactic. Mox, anything else you want to add before we move on to Austin?
No, I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say.
Yeah. Go ahead, Austin.
Okay. Well, I guess so. First, I'm not like, I wouldn't call myself a giant fan of Metroidvanias. I like Metroid a lot, and I like Symphony of the Night. So I like old Castlevania. I did really enjoy Symphony of the Night. I haven't enjoyed most of the Castlevania games after that, but every once in a while I'll find one that I like. I think so. My beef with the term Metroidvania is people use it to describe anything where you go around on an open map and get more capabilities to kind of get around, right?
Yep.
But like, I think for me, what a Metroidvania is, it's like, okay, it's when you take Metroid, that Metroid formula, and add like an RPG piece to it, kind of like Symphony of the Night did. So if you've got like level ups and you've got gear stats and stuff like that, that's kind of what it is for me. So this was a very Metroid game for me, but I didn't feel like the Vania piece to it
was there.
I don't know. And so as a Metroid fan, I really liked this game. I think a big part of the Metroid piece is having specific things that break blocks or get you through secret areas of the game. And this definitely scratched the Metroid itch for me, especially on the art style and just the vibe of the game. It matched very well with old Metroid. I think one part there's a section near the beginning of the game that I think all of us got stuck on, and I'm guessing it's common for a lot of people to get stuck there, where basically you kind of make it past a certain spot and you can't go back for a really long time.
Yeah.
And you kind of want to because you get new powers, and it's like, well, that could be used to solve that other thing that I had seen in the back. And
I remember that.
Yeah,
you can't go back yet.
And so you have to kind of figure out how to use what you find in that area to get further. And the powers in this game are pretty creative. They could have just done straight up the Metroid powers, like use the morph ball to get through one tile spaces or things like that. But instead, they had pretty creative powers. Like instead of a morph ball, you have a drone that you can go control in certain places, and you can get upgrades for that. The drone is also really good for kind
scouting.
Of safely, scouting and safely killing tougher enemies that can hit you really hard, especially because it just regenerates health on its own when it comes back to you.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think the hardest power to get used to was the lab coat, which lets you teleport through or past one block barriers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was it was hard for me to remember. Like,
to remember that you had it.
I would remember that, like, yes, I know I have this power, but I would get to a wall and I'd be like, well, can't go this way. I'd be like, oh wait, yes I can. What am I thinking?
Well,
I ran into
there was a part near the end of the game where there was a wall it was a one tile wall, and it had a gap in it that I could put my drone through. And so I put my drone through there, couldn't get anywhere, and it was like, well, I guess I can't do anything here yet. I straight up forgot that I had the lab coat because they had that one tile gap that I could put a drone through.
And it was just the exact thing. Exactly.
Oh man,
I felt so stupid.
Yeah, me
so
too.
Stupid.
Oh my gosh, as soon as I got that power, I was like, you double tap to dash when the first one. I was double tapping into everything, seeing like, is there a secret wall through it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, eventually I got more used to it and started doing that. But for a bit, it was like I really had to get used to that power before I could really get my bearings again.
Yeah.
The grappling hook was like straight out of
Bionic
Commando. It was kind of tough to use. I got used to it and I got pretty good with it, but like you really had to. Once you cut it, there was an area where they kind of forced you to practice with it a lot before you could really get out and get anywhere.
Yeah.
But it was, man, it was not simple to use.
Did you find yourself not using it as much because of that? Like, of course, there were some places where you had to use it, but some you could either use that or you could do like this like skip, jump, teleportation type thing.
Yeah, if I didn't have to use it, I wouldn't. But I got to a point where I could use it pretty reliably. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't like a big giant pain in the butt. But if it was a section where I had to do it a lot and I could fall down really far, it was just like, oh man, they really want me to use this grappling hook.
Yeah.
But what weapons did you guys favor the most?
The one you're using,
kind of what you found. Yeah, this was a really good gun.
I use it all the time. I mean, it like one shots like everything once you get enough of the little power ups, which is why I would counter your point that it's not a Vania because you have power ups.
There are power ups, that's true, but there's not like gear stats, and you don't gain levels from killing stuff, right?
But
there's no experience.
The lab coats offer increasing protection, and so you take less damage from stuff. I
didn't realize they give you more protection. I thought they just increased how many tiles you could teleport through. That's interesting. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the argument can be made both ways. I mean, Metroid also has that. The suits that you get give you increased protection, but I feel like in a Metroidvania, you can, if you're having trouble with a section, you can just go kill stuff for a while to level up.
Yeah.
Whereas in here, it's like you gotta find what the next thing is if you want to be able to progress, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Anyway.
I did like that. There was things that you could increase your range and stuff like that. So I used this gun a lot. I actually did not have a super hard time with the Hornet. I died to it once, but I was using a gun called, I think it was called Varange. I don't know if y'all found it, but it basically covered the whole screen. And
what?
It was like branching shots.
Oh yeah, I love that one.
It was really good.
Yes, I did end up using that. Yeah.
So I ended up ducking down and you could shoot the Hornet's underside using that. And it was really good, especially for kind of killing stuff around corners.
Yeah.
So I didn't use that a ton, but there were lots of situations where it was useful.
It like shoots out green, right? Just like green, yeah.
That one,
green and purple.
But like if you there's like a different power-ups that increase your range.
Yes.
Obviously I found a lot of those. And if you could just sit in the first part of the map and fire, and you could kill things off screen and then move. I would do that all the time. It's like, why even bother doing anything else?
I did not find items that helped me do that, which made the game very hard. But anyway. Okay. Austin, can you go over your stats if you don't mind?
Oh, sure. So I played on normal. It took me 7.5 hours to complete the game.
Mm-hmm.
I got 66% of the items, which I thought I got a lot more than I did, but apparently I missed a lot. And I covered 91% of the map.
Okay.
My death count, I died 6 times.
Okay.
What were those 6 deaths? Where were they?
One was earlier. I died to some of that steam. I think I died once on the Hornet. I died once on the optional boss towards the end. I'm trying to remember where else. I generally was pretty careful. I've tried to avoid death as much as possible. And so like if there was a section where I was pretty worried, then I would go send my drone out to scout ahead to kind of take out the tougher enemies for me.
Yeah.
But I can't believe you never used it to teleport. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I would go and like leave my save point somewhere I just got something new, backtrack to something I realized that I could now access, and then just killed myself to teleport myself back to where I'd saved. That's probably like 10 of my deaths.
I didn't really think about doing that. And there were lots of times where I thought about it and I was like, I don't know if this is going to save my progress if I do this. And I don't want to lose for a lot of the game, I was like, I don't want to lose my progress. I need to go find a save point.
Right.
So that would have been smarter, but I didn't realize that you could do that till very late in the game.
I had died so many times that I knew.
I abused the save points at the end to like heal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what would you say like your big positive takeaways were?
I loved the art.
Yeah.
I loved the art. So the original game was inspired by Alien quite a bit. Yeah. And that's like one of my favorite movies. And you can definitely tell that the Rusalki in this game are, at least for me, they seem to have a big inspiration from H.R. Geiger, who did the original Alien design. It's got a great like NES aesthetic here as well. Seeing that kind of art in a nice pixel art style is really cool. I love the art. I love the glitch, like the way the glitchy stuff looks.
The address disruptor.
Yeah.
In general, the art just
chef's kiss, right?
Chef's kiss. That's right.
What did you guys think of the music?
Oh my gosh,
great music!
I loved it so much. One of the maps, gosh, I wish I could remember what it was called, but it had this like lady singing, like it's like.
Oh, I know exactly.
I was just thinking of that song.
I was in that. Maybe it's because I was in that area for a long time, but at first I was like, this is a bit much, and then afterwards I was just like really vibing with that song. It was like, this song is amazing. Need more. And then that I would say like after I beat it, the rest of the week I just listened to the soundtrack while I worked, and it was so good. So good. Yeah. Anyway,
the music, but when like you're right before a boss room,
I
thought it was really good. It was just this great pulsing sound that kind of filled you with dread.
Yeah. Like I'm about to die up here.
yeah. It was just like, oh god, what's in the next room? They did a really good job. So an issue I kind of have in a lot of Metroid and Metroidvania type games.
Yeah.
When I'm kind of in a new area or like I'm in danger, I'm desperate to find a new save room so I don't lose my progression into that area. And I felt like I could kind of tell when a door was going to be a save room.
Yeah.
There was nothing to actually say like this is a save room, but it was just this natural tendency of like, I feel like this is going to be a save room, and it would be. And it was just like, okay, cool.
And also it would happen like, you're like, I haven't seen a save room in a while. And then you'd like turn a corner, you're like, oh, and you'd be at like a branching path as well. Yeah. Like, oh, left is probably a save room.
And it would be. It was very...
Yeah.
He did a good
job. There was
one
where right was a save room, and it really threw me off.
He totally got you.
So I thought those were distributed pretty well. The final boss, I felt like was really easy, but unlike a lot of games where the final boss is easy, I didn't feel like it was a letdown.
Yeah.
Like it was an interesting fight. It just was not a difficult one.
Mm-hmm.
Which it could have been.
For you, maybe.
By that time you have so many power-ups if you're looking for them, and great weapons that it was trivial. So I got to enjoy like the storyline and like the scene rather than just dying. It took me one time.
And so there's constantly spawning enemies that are kind of tough, but a lot of them when they die they give you health. And so it's like there's a lot that's happening, and like you're having to deal with a lot of chaos. Yeah. But it's giving you a lot of stuff to keep you alive. Which was good.
That was crucial for me.
Yeah.
With not having much items.
Yeah. I liked a lot of the exploration stuff. I thought there were certain points where it was like, man, where the hell am I supposed to go? But once I would figure out, it was satisfying, and it was cool to solve some of those puzzles. I felt like the final area didn't really have a lot to explore. And so it was just kind of like, hey, finish out the story, get to it, just finish this thing up.
Yeah.
So it felt a little bit rushed towards the end, but did you guys find the Justin Bailey password?
No.
So if you've played the old Metroid, if you type in Justin Bailey as a password, then it has you start off as Bikini Samus.
Okay.
Which it's just kind of the famous password for that. If you do it in here, then you get to play as Trace in a bikini.
Oh, wow.
Which I thought was a good homage. It was very unexpected. I thought it was a nice little touch. If they couldn't put Samus in,
yeah, why not that?
Trace in a bikini just had me in stitches. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the game.
And you played it on PC, right?
I played it on PC with a controller, and I discovered very quickly after getting the lab coat that my D-pad was a bit broken. So I swapped to a new controller, and now I've been having a better time in some of my other games.
That's awesome.
So thank you, Axiom Verge.
That's great. What would you, and Mox, I forgot to ask you too, what would you give it on like your own personal 10-point scale? Start with you, Mox.
I feel like I it's rare that I play a bad game, so I really don't give like bad scores, but I really like this game. I'd say I give it like an 8 or a 9. I enjoyed it. The music was good. The game was good. I liked the collecting. It was hard, but it was like a satisfying hard. I really enjoyed it.
Now you're ready to play Super Metroid. Austin, what would you give on your personal top 10? Your top, your 10-point scale. Sorry.
I think I would give it like a really solid 8. I really liked it. I had a great time with it. It's not the best time that I've ever had with like a Metroid type game or anything like that, but it was very well designed. If this were 2015, I probably would have given it a 9. Playing it now, it's like it still holds up pretty well, but it's not something that's just like desperately needed anymore. But it fills a niche, and it does its own thing. In enough ways that it's separate from Metroid. I think it's really, this was really good. I'd give it a very solid 8.
Nice. So I played it on Switch, and I got it on sale. Thanks to the Bombchu Discord for letting me know that it was on sale. And I used my 8-bit Do controller or 8-bit Do controller, which is just like a Super Nintendo controller with analog sticks. And it was great. It was a great experience with that controller. It worked perfectly. I wasn't that into the story. I know you guys were, but for me, I could leave it. I was like, just wasn't really for me. But overall, the game was beautiful. The artwork is just, amazing. And the music, right when I first started, I really enjoyed it. But once I started to get into the other maps, it was just like so great. The game was very challenging for me, and I think that's because it was only challenging later on, and I think that's because I was not going back and getting a lot of the power-ups that I should have been getting. Mm-hmm. So I only had 47% of the items, 80% of the map. It took me 13 hours, and I died 73 times, which is the most of all of us. A lot of those deaths happened at roughly 1:30 in the morning, whenever... my cousin and a buddy of mine were watching me. I was streaming it on Discord, and they were watching me play, and I was at the main boss, and I just died over and over and over and over again. I ended up using this lightning bolt item quite a bit.
Once I got that gun, I didn't use anything else.
Yeah, that thing was great. And I did use the one that shoots through walls, the one that you're using here in the recording as well, quite a bit. I loved, it was a really interesting feeling for me, this game. So I've never played any Metroidvanias ever. I just haven't really been attracted to them. I don't, it just isn't something that I've gotten into. Not for any reason, not that I'm like, oh, I would hate this game, but I just I don't know, just not something I ever picked up really. And it was, maybe I don't know how to play them or something, or I didn't know what to, I knew I needed to explore, but I didn't realize how much. I also try to move really fast, which also I think made the game a bit harder for me instead of taking my time. But it was one of those games where after I finished it, my girlfriend was like, oh, so did you like it? And I was like, I don't know if I liked it. Because it was really hard, and I was just kind of processing the whole game and what it was. But now looking back, I'm starting to realize like I had a lot of fun with this game. Actually, it was just really hard, and I kind of made it harder for myself by not exploring. And so I'm kind of craving like a second playthrough, actually, where I go through the whole map and actually try and get as many items as I can, because I think that would make the game a lot more enjoyable, especially towards the end.
I feel like half the game is like staying back and seeing enemies, because they only hurt you or attack you when you're like, within their range. But you can still attack them from that range. I spent most of the game not even being shot at by enemies, just shooting at them from a distance.
Yeah, and that I was not patient enough to do that. I was just running through, which caused a lot of death. But what's interesting enough is after this game, it's like, yeah, I don't know about Metroidvanias. Maybe they're not for me. And then we had to go in the basement because there was a tornado nearby, and there's some bad storms and stuff. And I brought my Switch down there, and I booted up Metroid, like the OG one, on regular Nintendo right away. It's like, oh, I'm gonna play this. And it's extremely challenging.
It's brutal.
More than this?
Oh my god.
No.
You don't have a map. You don't get health back when you die.
Yeah,
it's really hard.
But I like enjoyed it still, and I don't think I'll finish it, but it was just something like, no, it just was so weird to go, like, to play Metroid right after this. But overall, I think I really liked it. After spending some time to really think about it, for me, I would give it like a 7. And it's definitely opened my eyes to Metroidvanias as a whole, or Metroid in general. And I'm excited to maybe check out like Super Metroid. I did play Metroid Prime, but this is a whole different beast, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
2D versus 3D, at least for me. Like, I'm a lot better at 3D games. So I think it would be a lot more, like, I think that's why I had a lot more fun with Metroid Prime. And I did finish the first one, which I guess you could say that's like a Metroidvania game. It has Metroid in the name, but I don't really count that as the same style as something like this. It's a bit different for me, at least. Yeah, so I enjoyed it, I think. Still thinking, but yeah, overall I'd say I enjoyed it. Any final words before we move on?
I'm glad that I was willing to play a game that I would never have otherwise played, so thanks for picking it. Awesome.
Though when you were describing your dread over playing this, I was like, oh no, I picked the worst game for Vox to play. Like, I was really worried about it, and I was very pleased when I saw that you finished it before either of us, and you got the most completion out of it. Yeah, out of all
that
of
was
us.
crazy.
Like, that was really awesome to see.
Well,
so
it was like anytime I had free time, I was like, oh god, I need to play this game. It was like I did the same thing. I stayed until 1 a.m. and I have a very strict sleep schedule, and I was still like very intent on finishing this game.
That's funny.
So I'm really glad that you had a fun time with it.
Same.
Thank you.
Same. Yeah, so that was Axiom Verge. I mean, overall, I think we really enjoyed it. It's amazing that it was made by one dude, and
yes,
I know he did everything. Good for him.
Yeah, and I'm excited for the second one.
Me too.
I think I'm gonna pick it up at launch probably. So let's talk about the next game we're gonna play. So the next 3 games were nominated by me, and I chose Bastion, Batman: Arkham Asylum, and Rise: Son of Rome. And survey says, really quick here, that it will be Batman: Arkham Asylum. Have you guys played Batman: Arkham Asylum? Mox?
Yes, of course. Who hasn't?
I have not. Austin, have you played it?
Oh yeah.
So
I've played it a couple of times.
It's such a good game.
I'm excited to play through it fresh with 2020 eyes and see. I know a lot of people are like, this is one of the best games, like one of the greatest games ever made, and oh my gosh, Rocksteady.
Like Batman.
So I'm excited to check it out for the first time, and I've been on a Batman kick, so I think this will be great.
Now you're gonna want to buy them all.
Yeah, maybe. I think I have them all through Steam. I just have never played them. Yeah, so it's gonna be Batman: Arkham Asylum. The stream will be on September 27th at 2:00 Eastern. And
same bat time, same bat channel.
Yes. And of course, the recorded video of this will go on YouTube at a later date. You can check that out on Bombchu's YouTube, and you can also please come to the Bombchu crew Discord to vote and hang out with us as well, and the rest of the Bombchu crew, of course. So thank you everyone for joining. Austin, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Mox, thank you as always.
Thank you.
I'm Tyler, and this was the No Drama Video Game Club episode 6, and we're out.
Bye.
See ya.